grade, that's what they will try to organise. They have a bit of a later catch, so I'm interested to see how they're going to manage that with the week start. But at the end of the day, I think it's expected for it to be decent through to the win. And it's a good team they will.
Welcome to week 6, Tuesday Night Heffron podcast, the biggest event that makes my week go round and ensures that I move everything that I'm there. I'm tonight's host, Alexi Kalis, just one very average cyclist, and I'm joined by, of course, Mr. John Sunday, a man whose wife for 40 years has had to talk and hear about the weather on a Tuesday night and how windy it is. So welcome, John, and to your long-suffering wife.
Thanks, Alexi. Hey, Vaughan, and a shout out to my wife, Christine. She knows more about Tuesday night weather patterns in the summer than any other wife I know.
G'day, lads. It's very happy to be here. Lots to talk about this week. It was an absolute cracker. That wind caused quite a bit of havoc out there, lads.
That's right. I'm looking forward to hearing, Vaughan. You know, you're basically the John Nash for when it comes to cycling podcasts. That's one for the mathematicians out there. But you're right. This was the first week of week 6 that we actually really had some wind that played a bit of havoc at Heffron Park and made it a little bit more decisive. And from the very beginning, John, you made the big call. We're not going to see a lot of finishes tonight. And how did that play out?
Exactly as I predicted, although there was something like 40-odd finishes that crossed the line. The finishes that mattered, there was only 15. And I'd also add, just for the weather buffs out there, the wind gusts at the airport, which is where we take the data from, were gusting at 58 km an hour at 6:30 p.m. So that's as strong northeasterly as you're ever going to get at Heffron, like ever. So those riders who are new to Heffron, if you thought that was a tough night, well, it really was a tough night because it doesn't actually get much tougher.
And it was so tough that we couldn't get the drone. The drones couldn't even get up there.
The drones were not up there. But it's also worth mentioning why it was tough because there was 104 or 100. How many?
Yeah, over 100 riders.
Over 100 riders. The 40th year of this great event and race, and we've got 100 people starting Tuesday Night Heffron. It was quite an amazing first few laps, I've got to say.
Because when I saw, I'll just jump in there with those first few laps. It was so windy, you almost didn't have to pedal down the straight. Like you were just kind of there, you'd fly to, and then you turned and got to the other half of the track, and you just dead stopped. And you were just groveling to get your turn out of the way and hoping your turn was when you hit the straight, because then you felt like the fastest man on earth. You felt like Kurt Eather.
You did turns.
Oh, that's it. I was like Kurt Eather on that night. I was just there rolling along, taking advantage of the wind.
Oh, while I was commentating, I nearly mistook you for Kurt Eather. That's how much you look like him, mate.
I certainly stood out in my kit on Tuesday night.
You did.
Yeah, certainly did.
For the photographers.
Yeah.
But John, you were going to say, though, before I rudely interrupted?
Oh, no, not at all. Now I can't remember.
Not the first time that's happened to you.
No, what I was going to say, when Vaughan said over 100, well over 100 riders, and given the really brutal conditions, congratulations to all the riders. We had, and again, we had a big handful of new riders. You know, what a night to debut at Heffron. But congratulations to everybody for getting around safely. And there were no untoward incidents whatsoever, which is great.
New riders.
There was one thing I wanted to jump in and I wanted to jump in quickly though. There was no so I've got a new riders, but I'm going to whack it out there straight away and go, B grade were a pack of muppets. I don't know what happened to the first 5 weeks of B grade, legendarily riding beautifully, sharing the load, going super fast. We had 0 to 0 turns down the straight in the gutter from like lap 1 or 2. They absolutely destroyed their entire bike race. I'm going out there and saying it was the worst performance of a B-grade group I've ever seen in my entire life.
Hey, you've taken the wind out of my sails, Vaughan.
Sorry, mate.
Because I was saving this for later on in our discussion and race review, because I've done a few laps in B-grade, and I can tell you, listen carefully, B-graders, in fact, C-graders as well, when you come off the U-turn on a night like Tuesday night with the northeasterly, always ride high to the left, so that when you hit the straight, you're already on the left-hand side. So that's how you're going to get everybody to roll through. B-grade were hitting the apex through the middle of the corner, and they were hugging the right-hand side, I think from the first lap. And then they complain, oh, hang on, no one's rolling through. Well, the reason no one's rolling through is because you're not riding the circuit to suit the conditions.
100%, mate. I've actually got some data on this because I've had quite a few good chats, actually. What I'm absolutely loving to all the people that watch this, the people who have been sending me their files.
Are they all editing them? Are they editing it so we all get more riders doing, this guy was averaging 600 watts for 12 laps?
Well, I think I made that sort of outlandish made-up number for Big Nidge the other week, and so suddenly I'm getting some slightly more accurate figures being sent to me. But I'm not going to name names, but I have got a classic for you. There was a certain rider in B grade that averaged 242 watts for the entire bike race. He did a turn up the straight on lap 5, and he did another turn on the straight on lap 8, and he was doing 494 watts up the straight in the gutter. I remember commentating it going, what is this guy doing? It was fully strung out. And then not too long after that, I think it might have been on sort of lap 6 or 7, that guy just up there, Robbie Allen, arms in the air, pointing at people.
I was just going to add that.
Trying to tell people to get across, which we should be fanning out. And why C grade was fanning out beautifully right from lap 1. Don't know what happened to B grade.
No, I remember that lap that Robbie came down the straight across the start finish line. He was on the left hand side. He's waving his arms, come around. I can't guess who the rider was that you were talking about, Vaughan. But if you ever don't want anyone to roll through, do a turn like that early in the race.
Yeah. So it's
interesting. They lost. So you're saying they lost it early in the race, and we know this because now the adventures of Heffron Park on a Tuesday night. Like if we haven't got a drone in the air, we now have commentators throughout the. How good was that around the lap? So we had Vaughan for those who weren't there or those who are actually racing. Not only did we have Crafty and the ever excitable Angus Calder there on the sidelines, we also had Vaughan at the Pimple. Somehow, how are you getting through? Well, you on your mobile phone?
Yeah, we just put our mobile phones on speaker, and I jumped up there and talked into the phone like I was on the microphone. I'm standing on top of the hill, giving some, I guess, being able to see over that backside. I love standing up there on the hill. I think most people know that. I park my car up there. I absolutely love it because you can see everything that's going on. You can get some pain faces as they come over that Pimple, especially on Tuesday night when that northeaster was punching you right in the face, a little bit like Tyson when he was actually boxing, not like he was a few weeks ago. But, you saw them coming up over there. So, yeah, it was pretty fun to be able to talk and throw it down to Crafty and Alex.
I thought that was a great addition to the race because, just to have all the voices going. I was just like, what is going on
Yeah, it was
here?
good. And I think everybody that was on the start-finish line who mostly, they're removed from what's happening around the back end of the course. I think they found that involved them more on the race so that when the riders came down the straight, they knew what had been going on before they actually came down the straight.
Yeah. And so when did the catches get made? So how did the race play out? Because, obviously I was kind of in it. So I didn't quite see when and where the catches were going to be made. Was the call made early that A, we're going to get up, or was there any hope C grade might make it to the end? Like, where was it playing out?
I'd add to that C grade had another good advantage, 10 seconds, I think, behind B grade. There's never a call to make sure that any grade gets up. A grade started just when B grade hit the top of the pin pool. And at one stage, Crafty was on the microphone saying that this is a foregone conclusion. A grade are going to get up, they're going to win. But at 5 to go, there was no guarantee at all. B and C grade had, I think, come together, born around about 5 or 4 to go.
Yep.
A grade was still out of it and working very hard. But when they made the catch at 2 to go, it was survival to the finish.
Well, I rode Paluzzi on Tuesday morning with the big Rhino Keith, and he ripped it down on Tuesday morning. And he said to me before on Tuesday morning, he said, "I reckon when we catch C, I might ride straight through them and hit them and just see what happens." And sure enough, that's exactly what
he did, and there's a photo to prove it.
Yeah, he went through them. 4 guys went along with him, including Dan Newman, who's been riding absolutely spectacularly in my view. But yeah, the big O'Keefe went straight through to the front of the C grade. Then he rode off the front of C grade. Dan and maybe I can't remember who the other rider was trying to cross to him. They got away.
Toby was one of the riders in there.
It was indeed. And so, so like just looking at his numbers for the race, right? Because he still finished top 10,
he finished, 8th B grade.
8th. There you go. Yeah. So he still finished quite well. But yeah, he averaged 42.8 kilometres an hour and he averaged 330 watts. But the last 3 laps, he was averaging 362 watts, 44.7 Ks an hour. And literally, he got caught with a lap and a half to go, and I'm going to just put it out there right now and say very, very sorry to Ryan because he went through. I was standing up on the hill, and I looked and I'm like, oh man, he's only got 2 laps to go. He's got this. If he just buries himself, he's got this.
That is a huge call to
make.
I
know, right?
2 laps to go.
That ain't never going to happen on a northeasterly at 60k an hour.
Yeah, wait for this.
No one is riding away to the finish.
I've yelled go because like A grade hadn't quite caught C grade. He absolutely goes, and there's that photo where he's off the front. But then I look down and go, oh, that still says 3 laps to go. So poor old Rido had to go a lot further. At least he even had the wares to look up at the laps to go sign and understand it was 3 laps to go and not 2. So sorry, mate.
So I thought that the next good bit of data, if you look at the way everybody crossed the line and the time gaps that popped, or the gaps that were between each group of groups of riders, it's clearly the 5 strongest guys in the race were in the top 5. Once again, Kurt Eather not only wins the race, but he dominates by 2 or 3 lengths in front of Ollie. And if you look at Ollie's onboard footage that's on the Facebook page and it's been posted, you'll see Ollie coming down the straight and at sort of 500, 400, 300. Ollie is looking good. And the next minute, Kurt just blows past him like twice the speed almost.
I like that Kurt Eather is very keen to become the Chargill Charlie's Rider of the Week. Because after the race, did you hear the comment? Because last week we said if he won solo, that'd be a big deal. Sure enough, with a couple laps to go, he goes, I actually thought about going solo and just seeing, having a crack and see if I can go all the way to the end. And I thought, there is a man who's just, he knows.
He wants that chicken.
He wants that chicken.
I was honestly thinking about doing a little attack and trying to go solo, but the pace was on fairly well because Dan Manello attacked me at the back there and he got off the front and then Eddie rode across to him and then I was kind of stuck there, so I just walked across and got to them and a few boys followed me. And then when we got around the back, Benny Cates attacked. Chris brought him back and then I was just all together for the sprint and Ollie jumped first and I was able to get a run off him, so pretty good.
Unreal, mate.
I can't believe, though, you guys were bagging out B grade, and yet they still caught C with 5 to go. And really, what A caught them with, was it 1 to go or 2?
2 to go.
2 to go. Okay, so, maybe they lost a little, but still, they still wrapped up the C graders pretty early.
Well, they did, but then again, the C grade are never going to perform well on a night like Tuesday night. Never. On a sort of relatively windless night, you'll always get more people who are prepared to roll through in C grade and increase their momentum, but not on a night like that. I guess the onus is always going to be on B grade to catch them, and they did, and they were flying, irrespective of the way they were riding.
Absolutely. So, Tommy Hyde immediately shared all his data with me. God bless his cotton socks. Like, so this is a 40-year-old dude from Centennial Park Cycles. I reckon he's an absolute champ, and he'll get a win in the very near future. But he shared his data with me, and the bit of data that I wanted to pull out was...
You've just cursed him, Vaughan. You've just cursed him.
I just gave him the commentator's curse. But his heart rate for the last 3 laps was 195 beats per minute average. He's a 40-year-old, right? Like, so his theoretical maximum heart rate should be 180. He averaged 195, and his top heart rate was 197, and he said it was the most brutal Tuesday night he's done. So the boys were very, very deep. Robbie Allen this morning said that he was just looking around and just seeing a lot of people. So they rode very, very hard. I just think if they rode smarter, they would have won the bike race.
That's the key, Vaughan. Yes, so true. And I would point out, and I said this in the race report that I posted yesterday, if you look at the next bunch of riders that finished out of the top 5, they were the smart B graders. Dan Newman, Adrian Pellegrin, Alex Summers. I mean, they were still up the pointy end, and you have to be in a race like that. Yep. But they weren't trying to crucify everybody. And then if you look at the next group of riders that finished in B grade behind them, just don't have that in front of me at the moment. But I think there was Rhino in there, because he was spent at that point.
Richard Brooks, Tom Hyde,
Toby, who was in that earlier move, Rich Brooks. Yeah, I mean, you just can't do the efforts that those guys were trying to do and still be in the mix at the end. You just can't.
100%.
That's probably why when you look at the finishes, so you had C grade had 40 starters, 8 finished.
Yep.
B grade, 42 starters, 23 finished.
Yep.
A grade, who have, in the last couple of weeks have basically almost had a 100% success rate, 13 finishes of their 22.
Yep.
So
they lost a few.
Yeah, not an easy night. And some big names.
Yeah, a couple of mechanicals and punches in there.
Yep.
I know that Ant Shepard had tyre issues. Martin Kapoor came in looking for a wheel. But there was a bit of carnage with them as well. And, going back to how they crossed the line. So you had your top 3 B graders, the smart B graders. You had your next group of 4 B graders, which, Tommy Hyde, Rich Brooks, Toby, and Ryan O'Keefe, maybe not so smart, but Reece Nolan came in on his own, and then he's in the front of another group of riders that were just surviving to the end. Matt Galinsky, good ride by him.
Yep.
And Andrew Jacobs. But the one we've missed is Luca Ziccardi. Luca, take a bow, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, your first week in B grade, you get 4th across the line, and you're in a group of 3 that are just outside the top 5. So well done, Luca. That was on a night like that. Very, very impressive. But then just go back to the rest of the finishes in kind of the top 20. Cam Fraser, first night back at Heffron this season, rolling in on his own. Cooper Finkbeiner coming in. And then who comes across the line, just squeezing in 21st, the last rider in the top 20, Harvey Challoner, C grade.
C grade winner, chicken dinner.
Are you saying something? What do you mean by chicken dinner?
It was a very good ride because
good ride.
He had to hang
Absolutely.
very tough. I mean, that 10 seconds that we're about to talk about, the next group of riders was 10 seconds behind him. He had
That's right. So
hanging out, and very good ride.
I claim there were really only 20 finishes. Well, 20 that were in the mix, 40 crossed the line. Yep. But he's at the end of that. And don't remember, the guy's under 15. He's not even 15 yet.
Wow.
And his father
One of
told
the
me
days where you wouldn't let the youngsters ride, John.
Well, they're under 17.
Now we're like the youth academy.
Yeah, well, they're under 17. It's the category. The category is under 17 that we start from. But wow, like 15. And I said to Ant-Man when we were chatting yesterday, I said, like, how long's Harvey been riding for? I mean, I know he's been riding because quite friends with the family. That, and I'm thinking, he's most probably been on the track bike for 3 or 4 years. But Ant-Man reminded me he's been riding since he was 5 on a BMX bike, and despite his somewhat diminutive size, he's not going to get pushed around. He's pushing bigger adults out of the way because of his skill of being on a BMX bike, a track bike, now a road bike, for close on, how many years is that? That's like, I don't know, 9 years. Well, yeah, 10 years almost. So that's, yeah.
And Alexi, C grade wasn't easy. I've got Luke Cromer's numbers here. So his numbers were 39.8 kilometres an hour. So like in that sort of wind, it wasn't an easy bike race. So yeah, chapeau to Harvey.
Really? Because I was going to say Luke Cromer, he did have an easy ride. But I'll leave that one there. But going back to the actually, I'll probably say that most of those.
Actually, just while we're on Luke, I did notice when I was taking the finish line video in the next group after Harvey, there was kind of a 10-second gap, and Lewis Ray came across with Conor Verbruggen. And then I can see this guy in the white jersey. He's out of the saddle, sprinting. Like, I'm fucking like sprinting. And I'm thinking, mate, you're 25th. But he had Pontificate right in front of him. And Pontificate's just cruising to the line thinking, maybe I've got second. And then Luke just snatches it from him on the line. So, yeah.
That's what we love. We love people sprinting for 50th place. But it paid off. Exactly. That's a different reason, though. It's in the podiums. We'll let it slide. But just going back to the juniors and saying how well represented they are, I'm just starting to look through. So I assume all the Neo riders must be, so Jeremy Cannon, I'm just going to rattle off some names and you can tell me if he's a junior or not. So is Jeremy Cannon, I assume, he must be a youngster?
Jeremy's about 17 or 18, I think.
Youngster.
But this is second year in B grade.
Yep. So then you've got, you've got Ollie Taylor?
Well, that was Ollie's first ride, and Ollie and his dad, Sinclair, came down for the first time. And
Cameron Williams, maybe?
No, Cam's a Sutherland rider, and Cam's been around for a long time.
Okay, there you go. I'm just kind of rattling through the list. Who else do I think? I thought there was a couple of other youngsters battling or flying around. Baz Doozy.
Well, hey, Baz is not young.
Pretty young.
I'm sorry. Baz may think he's young. He was trying to tell me he was young at the pub after.
Yeah.
Baz, I'm sorry, you're not.
What about how are now? And then we'll move to our family connections with James Allen. Is he?
Oh well, hey, what a night for the Allens! Because the next person that we've got to give a shout out to, we had 4 Allens racing. So Robbie Allen, quite dominant again in B grade. His brother Chris Allen also riding in B grade, but both of Chris's children were there. So Jamie, his young son, has been racing for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And then Lucy, his daughter, turned up for the first time. And it was her first night at Tuesday Night Racing. And she then wins the women's prize as the only woman to finish. So, hey, that's a bit of a chapeau out to Lucy.
Mate, to be honest, it was an absolutely outstanding ride because when B grade caught, she said she went pretty much without the hoop. I went and had dinner with the Allens that night. And so Mama Allen was there. Dada Allen was there as well. So, it was a massive Allen affair.
I saw them on the sideline.
Yeah. It was chili con carne night, so that was good. But had all the family around. And Lucy was, absolutely in the box. She said, it was really, really hard. She said she pulled a turn early and she had people yelling at her not to pull turns. So she said, she then, these are her words, not mine, that was the most unorganised bunch of riders I've ever ridden with, which I thought was funny to come from the 15-year-old girl from down at the Gong, down Illawarra. But yeah, she got dropped with, she said, with B grade quarters, about 5 to go. She went out the back.
4, I thought, 5 or 4 to go.
Yeah. But so then, I was giving her the cheer to say, look, you're the last girl in, to see if you can make it to the finish line. And she just got into a little rhythm and she just kept it tipping over. Yeah, and she went through to the line. I think it was a fantastic ride for her first. And so windy, first ever time out there, 15-year-old.
You must be very happy to come to Tuesday Night Heffron and get a win.
Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting it, that's for sure. But, yeah.
Unreal, are you going to come up next week?
I'm not sure, but it takes me fun, and yeah, I hope to do it more often.
Do you know what actually happened today that's very, very important? out of all of the Allens, you were the first Allen.
Oh, well, that's even better. Like, very prestigious title there.
Yeah. So the first in the Allen family is Lucy.
And good to have Caitlin Rose back on the start line as well, down from Newcastle. I also point out there that John went for beers with Baz. Vaughan, you went for dinner with the Allens. I rode home by myself. So that just shows you where I am in the pecking order when it comes to group dynamics and everyone.
Well, why didn't you ride? Well, I heard that Martin Capra was riding back to Palm Beach. You could have ridden back with Martin.
Ooh. Not at the pace he goes, but
actually,
wow.
once again, a big family night. So Harvey had the full support team there on Tuesday night. Of course, his dad, Anthony's been riding C-grade with him. Mum Aileen down there and his sister, Abby, was also down watching for the first time. So all the challengers were there. We had a big group of Allens there. We had Sinclair Taylor and his son racing. And, of course, we normally have Dave and Josh Evans. That's like slightly at the other end of the age bracket, both of them.
Haven't they torn their arm muscles from something? I thought they've got something wrong with their arm from
maybe,
some weekend.
Yeah, that's quite possible, actually. That could have been the reason that neither of them could race on Tuesday night. They both had sore right arms after the battle of the big arm wrestling family battle on Saturday night. That's quite possible.
The Drummond, were the Drummonds there on Tuesday night?
No, Rowan was there, but Rab didn't. Rab was on the start list. He didn't make it. So we normally have both father and son Drummonds.
Were both Eathers there?
Both Eathers, Kurt and Dylan. Dylan just, I think, got to about 5 to go. I saw him roll in.
I tell you what, this is just, there must be some interesting discussions around the dinner table. Like people also go, I saw you didn't do a turn. You didn't help me. I rolled over and you didn't come through.
Yeah, you think it's tough going at the pub after. Just imagine going back to the Allens for dinner. Well, you did, Paul.
I did, yeah. I stood at the back. Good to see Dan Bonello, Bon back in town, ripping around there too.
Our man in Girona, he's back for the summer. His partner Brody is also back, but she's up in Queensland. And Bon, he absolutely loves Heffron, and he's been back a week. And good to see him back at Heffron.
Hey, just a little side thing for you, John. I went through the start list and I was quite surprised. And I was just looking. A memory came up. I'm going to read the top 10 from a memorial race, and you have to tell me what year it's from. You ready?
Yep, go.
Darcy, Gary Milburn, Nash Kent, Alex Naz, Brad Mills, Liam Kelly, Joel Walsh, Jesse Coyle, Pete Livingston, Stu Campbell, Chris Miller. What year?
Sorry, no, was that the finishing order?
Finishing order.
That was the finishing order.
Well, and to correct you there, if I'm right, it wasn't actually the memorial race, it was the trophy race.
Oh,
because Darcy I don't think Darcy has won a memorial race, but I know he's won a trophy race. And I would say that was 6 years ago.
2016.
2 years off. 8 years ago.
8 years ago. What's amazing is that, out of that top 10, John, at least 5 of those riders were racing again last night. So 2016, jump ahead, 2024, and we've still got a whole heap of those lads still wrapping circles around Heffron Park.
Yeah, quite impressive, isn't it? And I think that's part of the legacy of Tuesday night racing, that once you get hooked, it's almost impossible not to just push on. You just always have this ambition and motivation. I've got to go back and do better. I've got to go back and do better. And I think that's what keeps people going.
Well, you look at that because you've got Rupert Guinness, he's 62. Still rolling around in C grade. Gino, I mean, the man, has a major injury, still comes back, in almost record time, as if he's an 18-year-old. He's back on the start line. I mean, there's plenty of people rolling around. I won't offend anyone else by perhaps suggesting they're old. But it's great to see.
Yeah. You looking at anyone in particular when you said that?
Oh, look, I did kind of scroll through the list and thought, what are you talking about?
I just thought there must have been a mirror over there.
Yeah, that's it. And so with that, when we look at age and beauty, we also think about Char Grill Charlie's Rider of the Week. And with a week
special moment
that had so many riders not finish, it's going to bring a big one in. For who will it be? Let's start with Vaughan.
I was originally going to say the big Ryan O'Keefe, the footballer, has come super cyclist because his late move and then to still finish top, I thought was absolutely ridiculous and impressive. Dan Newman, another shout out to him, back to back. The new man, Dan, was very, very impressive. But I'm definitely giving it to young Lucy Allen. I think as a first ever time at Heffron, 15-year-old girl, absolutely in the quagmire, getting blown around, still finish the race and beat all of the family members. That's my pick for Chargill Charlie's Ride of the Week, Lucy Allen.
Well done, Vaughan.
Well, you're going to make us all look so bad now if we don't.
Well, I'm going to give Lucy. I'm going to go next, and I'm going to give Lucy a mention. Definitely, and she does deserve a mention for all the reasons that you said, Vaughan. First time head of the Allen family in terms of winning results on Tuesday night. Only woman to finish, but my pick was actually going to be Harvey Challoner. 15 years old, well, not even quite 15. First season at Heffron, and from a start list of 40-something C-grade riders, not only does he finish with a 10-second gap to the next best rider, he's tacking on the back of the top 20. So my guy is Harvey for the week. Your call.
That's a good one. Look, I would agree. I think so far I support everyone's vote so far. I think they all did a wonderful job. Particularly because when you look at with Lucy Allen, she did get to rock. Kira Wills was there on the night. So was Nicole O, Caitlin Rose, and Lily Fasan. So she did a wonderful job. But I think after hearing your spiel, John, the fact that Harvey Challoner, that was his. Did you say that was his first Heffron?
No. It's his first season.
Our first season.
Yeah, he's ridden 5 of them.
Okay. I was going to say he's ridden 5, but no, he's doing very well. But like you said, to be the first C grader out of 40 starters and 20th over the line, I think I'm going to agree with you there. He's going to take home some chicken drumsticks because it is Harvey Challoner, our Char Grill Charlie's Rider of the Week. Maybe we can arrange a set of fries or something for Lucy Allen.
I'm sure we can come up with a Char Grill voucher for Lucy. But Rider of the Week, well done, Harvey. You deserve it, buddy.
Absolutely.
Big riding at a level that defies your youth.
Yes, unbelievable.
Chapo.
Very impressive. And then when we look at those results, we'll just quickly go through. So overall, it was a grade 1, 2, 3, Kurt Eather, Oliver Penny, and then Jack Bennett on top of his hoods there.
Oh, we didn't mention Jack. Jack is back.
Jack is back. Old Benny Coates. Benny Coates was finishing quickly.
I didn't mention Benny either. Shout out to Benny. Hey, it's only his second season in A grade, and he's been in and around the front group every week. And to get a fourth behind those 3 out now, much stronger, bigger, older guys than he is. Not bad, Benny. Very good.
It's also worth mentioning Ben Coates because we know he's got a few family members who watch, so it gets our viewership up when we do give him a call out. Then we've got B grade first Daniel Newman, another strong 2 weeks in a row for Dan Newman of Northern Sydney, first place. Second, Adrian Pellegrin of Illawarra. Second, Alex Summers. Third, Alex Summers of Randwick. And Luca there, as we pointed out earlier, was the 4th B grader. C grade, we had Harvey Challoner in first. Second, Luke Cromer of Randwick, ahead of Pongsack of
Pongsack robbed on the line.
Pongsack. He'll be bitter about that one. And our first female was Lucy Allen on the evening. Once we look at those results, John, is anyone getting a promotion, moving up any grades?
Well, in the race report, I did say that Dan Newman proved that last week's ride was no fluke. The other thing I wanted to add about promotion, there's been some discussion about the old B1 category. I personally like the B1 category. A couple of the riders were saying, bring it back. But if you look at the top 6 finishes in B grade, I think any one of those guys now is ready to step up. But Dan with his 2 consecutive B grade wins. Welcome to A grade next week, Dan.
Congratulations, Dan Newman. Welcome to A grade. I think
they've been working as a good pair too, Dan and Summers, I think it is. Those 2 boys in the light blue Ratha jerseys, they work well within the bunch. I was watching them closely from up on the top of the hill. They're always finding each other in the bunch, and
you see that in the photos, actually.
Yeah.
They work very well together. So, and actually, John, quickly, we're coming up to our first monuments of the year, and typically, obviously, we have the A graders separated from the B and the C, but normally you pick a few of the B graders to step up. And I was looking at the start list thinking there actually is quite a few boys in that sort of step up to the A grade for the monuments. Got any inside knowledge for us on that yet?
Well, yeah, I just alluded to that. So just quickly, 2 more handicaps to go. That's next Tuesday, the 3rd, I think, and then the 10th. And then on the 17th of December is the 45th edition of the East Trophy Race. And this is iconic. It's got some great names and winners of the past. And then what I've just identified as, say, B1 riders that are kind of in the middle, are all invited to participate in the trophy race. And they usually take that offer up with both hands and then find out the brutal truth about halfway through the race. But there'll be quite a few of them invited to ride the trophy race. And then a separate handicap that night, 15 laps for B and C grade riders.
Unreal. John, cannot wait.
I cannot wait. Did you say the 45th Eastern Suburbs?
I think it is.
How do you have more trophy races than you do Heffron seasons?
Yeah, but the trophy race, so just a little bit of history background on the trophy race.
I don't know if I really should have done this. Why did I ask this question?
Well, the trophy race was previously held on a Saturday by Eastern Suburbs when they used to race with Randwick, and it was for an Eastern Suburbs rider, and for no other name, they just said, we'll call it the trophy race. Yeah. And so the trophy was already around when Tuesday Night Heffron started.
Right. No worries. That's a very brief history, and that's all we need to know. And he's still on European time, but we couldn't close out the podcast without our European correspondent. I imagine, Paul, you now have a bit of a French accent or something, because you seem to have spent so long in Europe that you're back. Exactly. So, Paul, we have announced. Oh, there we go. He was there. Yeah,
a good mate of mine, Timmy Dalton, enjoyed the charades over in Europe, and he bought me a bottle of Ventoux 2022. I reckon it would go really well with KFC. Yeah,
that's right. Well, I'm more of a Char Grill Charlie's kind of rider. Now, Paul, you don't know the answer.
And one of these.
So you don't know the answer to this week's Char Grill Charlie's Rider of the Week. Who would you have voted for? And who are you going to vote for?
I did try and think about it, but it sounds like it's already an American Democratic vote that puts in Donald Trump. But let's go with it. I thought Edwin Brits did an amazing job leading into that last lap. He let out. I thought it was Michael Cupid who attacked. It was Dan Bonello who attacked. And guess who shut it down? From the word on the street, Edwin Brits shut it down. Teammate of the end winner, Kurt Eather. I thought that was pretty darn impressive. But let's face it, Edwin Brits doesn't sign on properly. He cannot be the winner.
Yes!
Take no
Gone. Yeah. I also saw this guy in bright orange in C grade doing a shitload of work. Alexis Collex.
Oh, so it was true.
It was true. So there you go, John. Thank you, Paul.
But did you finish?
No. That's it. I'll never get to win on that basis. That's right. Gone.
Okay. Let's look at Benny Coates in 4th place.
I knew you were going to go Benny Coates in 4th. Well, you just got some fascination with the man. You're his number 1 supporter, but no.
I don't know if I am. I'm just recognizing the guy.
He's right, and we gave Benny a big shout out.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Right, so Jack Bennett's got more than one problem for the season of 2025, and that name Benny Coates is only going to get bigger, stronger, faster.
Get up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's an issue.
And as
The
Jack
B
said, he
grade,
still hasn't had a job.
yeah, right, and he's got parents that support him and drive him places.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
look, B grade. In my honest opinion, B grade did a magical job. They
Oh,
Oh, I
they
don't know what race
rode.
you were watching.
you should have come in
We've,
earlier.
we've bagged them out for the last 30 minutes.
Well, the times I took, okay, so I took a lap time. I got a 3:05 for the C grade. That is quick. Yeah, they're going all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think might have even been a little slower than that, but nevertheless, it was the B graders riding in a 2:53, whilst the A graders were riding in a 2:49. Now it could have been an odd lap, but that said, A grade should not have caught B grade. I thought they were smoking. And honestly, John, if the handicaps had been, I think the B graders I reckon they deserve to win that one.
Wow. It's
No.
almost like we're going to say that we're about to have Spurge's last lap, but now we've got Crafty's controversy corner. This is what an episode of the podcast this will be. Like, if you've turned
will
off
be
after
massive.
10, 15 minutes, you've gone, I know all the answers. Crafty suddenly joins us at the back, and man, he's flipped the script, but he still hasn't revealed
Crafty, who's
his
your
rider
rider
of
of
the
the
week.
week?
Yeah, look, I'll lay it down and say Ben Coates.
Wow.
Okay, so we will
Oh
now
shit, no,
reveal
wait up, hold on, I did remember one. The winner of B grade,
Dan
Dan
Newman.
Newman.
was he
Back-to-back.
wearing green?
Blue.
A tealy green?
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
bluey kind
Did
of.
he lead out into the straight?
No,
that was,
that was Ollie
uh,
Penny.
No, because I saw Ollie Penny's video.
Oh.
Yeah, Ollie was leading in the straight.
Not in the initial,
Oh,
the very
yeah,
first.
actually, I think you're right.
hand
No,
I
it was
think-
Alex.
yeah.
It was Alex Summers or Tom Gray.
Yeah, it was Alex Summers leading out or trying to lead
Dan
out.
Newman.
That's a ballsy move by a B grader.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, and this goes for anyone riding. If in doubt, lead out.
Yeah.
If you don't know what to do, just go. You're at the point he gave himself a red hot crack. He also hit a truckload of wind, but he gave himself a crack. I was really impressed with that move, and he before Ollie Penny came over the top, that was gutsy, and it couldn't have been easy because A grade were there, with 2 to go, is that right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, look, I'm allowed to be controversial. It doesn't matter who I vote for because you guys have already decided it. What I do want to say is, John, when I said to you this idea of a podcast, you said, let's do it. Our first episode, it was good, but it's only gotten better. And having Vaughan on, I've watched what Vaughan's done. He's added a degree, a maths degree of numbers and data, and
That's way beyond our brains.
yeah, it's fascinating. Like last week when Vaughan, you said A grade averaged 47.6 kilometers. Then that's nuts. If I turn up to a race and it's 42 k's an hour, it's super fast. That's at Eastern Creek on a smooth, perfect bitumen. We're at Heffron Park and you guys are cracking 47 average.
Yep.
What the hell? That's crazy. I don't need to vote for Rider of the Week. All I need to listen to is who got it.
Harvey Challinor of the first C grader over the line.
Done deal. It's there. It's yours, mate.
Boom.
He needs it too. Put on some weight.
Uh,
Anything to add, or should I just
Well,
go?
no, we're basically into the Anthony Spurgeon last lap call-outs. So you can whatever you want. You've got free reign.
Behind him, that's Sam Bonello, big paint face there on Tom Gray in fourth wheel in the blue colours of Rafa. So they are absolutely flying down here. A lot of B-graders looking in a...
Nah, look, I'm just really impressed with how the podcast has gone in my absence, and certainly the numbers this year have gone up, and I know people because I turn up. I'm kind of weeing my own pocket here, but I turn up to races, my club race on the Central Coast, and people tell me what happened at Heffron, right? Because they know, and it's pretty darn crazy. So I'm just pretty impressed with that. That's my last lap.
Yeah, that's a good last lap, Crafty. Thank you to everyone who's supporting us and watching us.
One more. I hope you think I've finished. Oh, this is notorious for me. I've always got that one more. Hey, Vaughn.
Yeah.
The phone cross from you on the hill, that rocked. Right?
It did. We did that. Yeah.
Did you hear that, John?
Yeah.
No,
that
no,
was
no. We
fantastic.
actually we spoke about that and said that was fantastic.
Just that different audio. And actually, when there were two riders, my brain slipped me, but the two riders were away in B grade.
Yep.
That was crazy. And you could look them in the eye and you knew who they were. And it just gave so much extra dynamics to the commentary. And I think anyone who watched that, and speaking of who watched it, the two girls from Youth Off the Street.
Oh yes, we didn't mention Peter and Phoebe.
Phoebe, right? They just went, okay, we're going to sit through this event.
They loved it.
Gobsmacked how they're sitting there, there's no one around. Suddenly there's 20 people around. Next thing you know, there's 150 people around, and it's just going bang, 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 bang. If you haven't been to a Heffron on a Tuesday night, it's better than any Marvel new release. It's cheaper. You don't have to buy popcorn. Just bring a beer if you want. It is a night out for everybody, I reckon.
You'll even have the chance to buy the T-shirt. I think there's still a few available if you come along on Tuesday night.
At the clubhouse.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you're a rider, you can get your entries in for next Tuesday night. And
Open
like we
on
always
right
say,
now. Be first, Edwin. Be that person, Edwin.
See you next Tuesday.